What's up, you guys? You know that it's like a high energy day when I'm actually not wearing my sweater in here. It's 100 degrees outside in Missouri right now, which is crazy. Upstairs in my house, freezing. In this room, we're good. Anyway, hello, happy what's today? Tuesday. And I wanted to talk to you guys about something. We talked a little bit about being prepared, right? Like, what if you knew what was coming? And you could be more proactive about it. We talked about that a bit last week. Well, yeah, I guess it was last week that I did a live here about that. But I wanted to talk about, I like this dial that we can turn down on certain things if we choose to. See, the if we choose to part is where I usually lose a lot of people, because a lot of people don't realize that we have to accept a level of responsibility for the part that we play in certain situations. Like, it's very important that we do that. If you guys are jumping on, please say hello. Please let me know that you're here. If you're watching the replay, please say what's up and let me know that you're here. I'm not seeing anything. But anyway, so the thought behind that, though, is like, if you allow yourself the awareness to recognize the part that you play in something, then it really can create this level of giving you the power and the ability to turn the dial down on things that stress you out, things that you know are coming. Example, I don't care how great, you are, or how well thought out things are, or whatever. The world in the United States specifically, the dial turns up. The speed gets higher. November, December, January, right? And what I mean by that, what's funny is that November and December people are doing a whole lot more stuff in some ways, but in January it slows down, but the focus and the stress levels increase. And so, like, statistically, in my own experience, in my own coaching practice, when I was running businesses and I was like physically in the business, I saw this happen every single time to men, women, everybody. It becomes a more stressful time of year. And so I know this because I went into the hospital one time after the holidays because I overdid it so much. I was so stressed out and pulled in so many directions. Legitimately lived that. I also remember I've missed Christmas Eve with my family before because the prep work from the end of November through all of December just would kick my ass. And I was doing all the things, and it would happen. And so many people I know get very sick around that time. They let go of all their health practices. They kind of recluse, but they're not. Like, it's just a very weird, twisty time. Where instead, like, I decided a few years ago, 5 years ago probably, I was like, fuck this. I'm enjoying every month of the year, always. I'm going to prepare for this. How can I prepare for this? To where I actually get to enjoy Christmas and Thanksgiving and all of that. And what's funny is, even when I'm hosting things during that time, there's a space where you have the ability to accept the part that you play and choose to behave differently. Like, this is one that people don't like because it feels like a punch in the gut. But what you're not changing, you're choosing. Okay? So if you don't change the way that, if you want your end of the year to be different, and you want to feel differently as you're celebrating the holidays and the new year and preparing for the new year and all of that good stuff, you have to accept and start now and decide, I'm going to do something different. Otherwise, you are going to get the same result, right? So turning the dial down on stress. How do we do that? I'm going to give you guys some tangible things that you can do, that you can use, that can help you. One is awareness, which we just kind of talked about. But what that means is I would welcome you to look back or like in your planner from last year, or think back to things from the fall and winter beginning of last year that you don't like. Then write down things that you do like. Write down things that you wish you could spend more time on. Okay? And then write down, what do you think stops you from spending time on those things, right? So the awareness factor is the observation, the reflection of recognizing what the thing is anyway, right? And it's really a key of, what do I want it to be like instead? What do I think it can be instead, right? So the next part is preparing. And so, for example, if you realize, like, one thing, I'll give you an example in our personal life here. So Tony is a last minute shopper. Well, he used to be. He would be a last minute shopper. So I would be wrapping all the presents for nieces and nephews, my mom and dad, my brother and sister-in-law. I get something for my godchildren. We get presents for his kids and granddaughter. Like, I would be wrapping all the presents, like, much in advance for things, right? And then, like, 2 days before Christmas, when I'm already, like, preparing meals for things, like, getting ready, he would come in with this huge stack of presents that needed to be wrapped, right? And he'd be like, oh, I'll do it. And then it wouldn't get done, and it would be this big stressful thing. And so over the years, I would put myself into this predicament where I would be staying up the night before Christmas Eve or whatever, wrapping all of these presents, stressing out. I actually really love wrapping presents. So in the reflection and awareness, I enjoy wrapping presents. They always look very beautiful, and I enjoy it a lot. So what is something that I wanted to do? Not stress and rush and feel rushed the week of the holiday, and so I could enjoy it. And I wanted to do something, allow myself this space, because what I like to do is I'll put on a Christmas movie, and I'll sit on the floor, and I'll wrap all the presents, and I, like, carefully pick the tags and all the things, and I really love doing it. And so I made it a point to say, no more, Tony. Like, this is not what we're doing. We're not waiting till last minute to create chaos and stress. So what did I do by making that a point and holding him to it? I turned the dial down on stress, right? By allowing myself to see, I really enjoy wrapping presents, not feeling rushed or waiting till 2 o'clock in the morning. Instead, I'm going to create the space for this. And I already set that in motion, like, months before the holidays began, back when I first put that into practice. So that is a place where you can prepare. That's a very simple example. But if you allow yourself the ability to answer those questions that I just asked earlier in this video, and if you're just jumping in, then you'll want to rewatch bits of this. But if you let yourself ask yourself those questions, you'll realize what are things that you don't want to repeat about the end of your year that's happened in the past. What are things you want to do something different for, so that you can step into this time, this season, differently than you have before. So by getting that awareness, it allows you to prepare. So meaning you look and say, okay, what can I do different? Because again, if you do the same thing, you're going to most likely get the same result, like 99.9% of the time, same fucking result, right? So we want to prepare and ask ourselves, what can I do different? And make those rules, set those standards, set the boundaries, whatever you want to call them, but do that and then communicate it where you need to, and you need to hold yourself to it, right? So there's, like, a preparation commitment part that you do. And then it's the desire, which is kind of sprinkled in through everything we're talking about. But the desire is, again, how do you want it to be? Do you want to feel supported? Do you want to have more time? Do you want to not deal with any of it? Do you want blah, blah, blah? You get to choose. What's your desire? Be honest. Do you not want to run from place to place to place? And if you don't, then how do you want to address that instead? Whatever it is. Do you not want to give presents to people at the holidays? Do you not want to worry about New Year's resolutions at the holiday? Whatever it is. Like, I'm just using the end of the year as an example because that's what we're, like, getting ready to head into. You can do this practice in anything that you do to turn the dial down on stress. You can use this at your job. You can use this with your health. You can use it with everything. And then the next thing is, you really, in order to turn the dial down on stress, hey, Kyle, you really need to practice being in the present moments more than you are in the past or the future. So this is a tricky one for a lot of people, because a lot of people have depression or worry, and that tends to reside in us focusing too much on, or like they paralyze themselves for perfection because they want to be everything to be perfect, or they're concerned or they're worried. And a lot of those worries come from us dwelling too much on what's already happened and on the past and not what we can control. Or we're living in this anxiety state and this fear state, which is us focusing too much on the present or the future, right? Of what might happen, what may happen. And we get so caught up on what might happen that we miss everything that is happening right in front of us, right? So that is where we can turn the dial down on stress every day, all of the time, if we start to create things, or what's the word I'm looking for? Create practices, tools, daily tools that you can use to keep yourself present all day long, every day. And what I mean by that is remembering, okay, here's what's in front of me right now. How can I stay in this moment? And how does that impact the future, right? It does impact the future. And when you're present and you're making those choices and you're being mindful, then you can see the ripple effect and how it will produce or affect the future. And in a way, it really turns down that anxiety because you can see that what you're doing is impacting it in a positive way, right? So some practices that you can use on a daily basis to keep yourself in the present moment are things like meditation, things like a to-do list, things like turning on do not disturb so that you're not being pulled in 75 directions. Things like bringing your physiology into your office. And what I mean by that is get up, stand up, jump around when you start to feel yourself drifting. Get a standing desk, take your laptop to your counter if you can, or somewhere where you can stand. Bring your physiology into your work and you will stay more in the present moment, right? But bringing reflection into your normal behavior too. Like when I talk about, the awareness reflection, you can do that at the end of every day. You can do that at the end of every week, at the end of every month. I do all of the above because I'm looking at what is actually transpiring and then learning from it every time. And that is keeping me in the present moment. The other thing is breathing. I know that sounds juvenile, right? But it's not. Taking deep breaths throughout the day makes a big difference. So example that just happened today. I am there's like a lot going on in here today, right? I'm getting a lot done and I'm feeling really good about it. But sometimes when I'm getting a lot done and I'm feeling that way, I start to buzz a little bit to where it's like I'm almost above the surface and I'm not grounded in the moment, okay? And so what I want to do is learn to stay grounded, right? Well, I do know this and I notice this feeling in myself. So as I'm down here doing this, I have the Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within playlist playing right now, which is like keeps you just in the fucking zone. And Mac is upstairs screaming. If you've been here for a while, you know that Mac screams. He is very loud. He is a needy, loud dog. He always has been, especially if he's near me and I'm talking to the phone. He does not like it. He's not like it. He yells. If you've ever been in a training with me, Mac is typically speaking to you during it. It's a thing. But he was yelling so loudly that I could hear him down here and my office door was closed. So I called Tony. Where are you? Are you out right outside the house or are you down the driveway? He's building something in our driveway. And he said, I'm in the driveway. And I'm like, all right, cool, never mind. So I go upstairs, I let Mac outside so he can see that his dad is not there, and I make him come back in. Well, during that, I got really pissed off, right? It was irking my last nerve. So I run up the stairs, take him outside. I'm like, he's not here. Do you see that he's not here? And he's like, looks at me and he wants to go. He's pissed, right? Max has an attitude problem a lot of times. And I'm like, come in. He doesn't want to come downstairs with me. So I go put him in our bed because, three-legged boy now. He can't jump on the bed by himself. So I put him in the bed. And as I'm coming downstairs, I can feel that unhealthy buzz and distraction. So I stopped at the top of the stairs. And I took 5 really deep breaths where I did a 3-count in, a 3-count hold, and a 3-count exhale. Okay? I did 5 of those, and then I did this. I know this sounds really weird, but if you've ever been to a Tony Robbins event or you've ever seen one, everyone jumps around and you think we're being crazy, but we're not being crazy because when you do this, what it does is scientifically you can prove this. It raises the energy from your feet up through your whole body as you do this. If you're watching me and you don't care if anyone sees you, do this because it will raise your energy and ground you inside of your body. And that is a way that you bring your physiology into what you're doing. That is a huge practice to stay present. I have a mini trampoline in my basement and I jump on it in the middle of the day, or I'll put my standing desk up and I'll jump up and down till I count to 20 or whatever it is. But just those small differences or those small movements make a huge difference in you staying present, which turns the overall stress levels down in your body and in your life because you're able to focus and you're not so scattered. It's in this scattered that we feel like we're missing something, that we feel like something's overwhelming, we feel like something's taking on too much of our time, blah, blah, blah. All that really big ick happens when we're not staying in the present moment. So, that was very channeled. Sometimes when I'm channeling, my breath doesn't happen. So yeah, those are some tips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things for you to do. Save this video, watch it later when you can take some notes. Was it been 10 minutes, 15 minutes? And it will definitely give you things that you can work on right now to turn the stress levels down in what you're doing. I do have other tools available. I have a journaling prompt guide that is free that you can access on my website. You just go and it says free resources. There it is. There's also a seasonal prep masterclass, which is specific to this time of year, which walks you through ways to prepare for the year as an individual, but also if you own a business, it's a really good one for you to watch, especially right now before we head into the holidays. Trust me, lots of good ideas in there to make the most of it in your sales too and your marketing. That's free also, jamiethurber.com under free resources. And the other thing is I do have spots open right now for private clients. This is a perfect time of year to start a coaching package. It's a perfect time of year to start a plan with a coach, especially a coach like me that helps you build and stay focused. We work on daily habits. We work on how to bridge the gap between where you are now and where you want to be in every area of your life. We talk about everything. We go through every area that you want to. And if you start a contract now, what happens, I work with people for 6-month minimum contracts. And so that will get you through February into the new year. So basically the reason that it's such a brilliant idea for you to do that now, if you've ever been thinking about coaching, making the investment at this point is a great plan for you. It's like a huge, amazing, good check mark, like great time to do it because you'll get some really good habits in place and get some really like break through some shit by the time the weather's completely changing, the demand on your time is changing, all of those things happen, like daylight savings is going to happen and change. Like it really allows you to create some really healthy habits and really get them anchored in while having support as you're going through potentially what can be like a sticky, weird time of the year. And you'll already be working on your goals and heading forward before anybody else. And so New Year's resolutions don't typically work anyways. They're usually a bunch of bullshit. Like that won't even be your game. You'll be eons ahead of what you would normally be if you started working with a coach now versus if you waited until January, February, or later in the year. So I do have spaces open. That's why I opened them now, because it is the perfect time to start a coaching package. And I'm really excited to take on new clients. So if that's something you're interested in or curious about, please send me a message. We could jump on a phone call and talk about it. And I also actually have a case study program working for, I actually already have one person coming in as this case study. So if you're concerned about the dollar investment, please still send me a message. Let's have a conversation. It's worth a conversation. I do have a couple of options that may suit you if we are a good fit together. But now is a really good time to do that. So if that's the case, let me know. As always, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for showing up. Please hit the like button, the little thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and please hit the share over if you think anyone else can benefit from this. I always appreciate it when you do that. One of the best ways and biggest ways you can support a small business or an online business like mine is by liking, commenting, sharing. Those are things that we can't pay for. No matter how much money you pay, you get more reach when people truly do that and care enough to do it. And so it really makes a big difference. So when you do that, it literally means the world to me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here. Go out into the world, do good things, be a good human, and I will see you later. Bye.